Hola, ¿cómo están? Gonza VODKITO por acá. Bueno, por fin, después de tanto tiempo, salió un nuevo Insight. Así que estamos acá con el Peluca, con Brad, Obi, Mauro. Nada, vamos a ver el Insight, a ver qué nos traen esta semana. O no sé no sé qué es. No vimos nada. Así que vamos a ver de qué es, pero seguramente algo que va a aparecer ahora en el próximo parche o el siguiente. Así que bueno, no se olviden de dejarle like. Coméntenme si lo vieron. Bueno, obviamente lo están viendo. Pero qué les pareció, si les gustó o no. Y bueno, nada, también suscríbanse, que me ayudan un montón. Así que vamos a verlo. A ver qué pedo.
Hello, my name is John Griffiths. I'm a lead environment artist here at Star Citizen at Cloud Imperium. I'll do that again.
Está como yo.
Hi, my name is John Griffiths, and I'm a lead environment artist at Cloud Imperium Games. I'm heading up EU Sandbox 2.
Este es el jefe de del environment, de lo que es la naturaleza de Star Citizen, el que dibuja.
We're working on the revamped underground facilities which you saw at CitizenCon.
Okay.
This is also my first ISC episode, and it's also the first in our lovely new office. So I hope you enjoy.
El que está haciendo esto también. Los nuevos búnkeres militares. Pues la otra vez me explicaron que los búnkeres que tenemos hoy en día, los chiquititos que ya tenemos, van a ser lo que van a estar abajo de esto o algo así. No sé bien cómo es. Pero son un poroto de chiquito comparado con lo que vamos a ver ahora, que esto es lo que se viene. Y esto va a salir en Pyro.
So after we've gone through that kind of concept development phase, where we're just fleshing out ideas, it's time to kind of think about what actually the underground facilities are going to be. How much time is the player going to be spending there? What are they going to be doing there? How many they're going to be? What kind of themes they're going to be? All that jazz we need to think about, and we also need to plan out how we're going to do it. So when we're in the stage of very early on in development, it's about kind of iterating quickly.
Me parece que nos van a hablar de los ground facilities, de los bunkers nuevos que se vienen, qué se va a poder hacer ahí, qué roles va a haber, para qué va a servir, cómo está hecho. Esto ya lo vimos, ¿no? En la CitizenCon. Pero ahora va a ser como que más profundo, nos van a contar más detalles.
The directors are involved. It's just molding the beast into something tangible, which we can then take into our planning stage to iron out what it is we need to create and how we're going to create them.
Ya los tienen bastante cocinado, parece.
So we've come out of pre-production. We now need to get a plan together so that the team can start working. So at the moment we can see all these boxes. All the ones on the top are rooms. All the ones underneath are overlays. So overlays.
Se está diciendo que todas las de acá arriba, la primera hilera, son habitaciones. Y después las otras son overlays, como que sería como la imagen, cómo está hecho. No sé, a ver.
Variety. When the team looks at this, they don't have to come to me to ask, does the surface structure medium need work doing to it or not? They can read it for themselves here. This is great because it gives us a big overview of what's required for the location, and it also means that we can break it down into kind of content packs. So our tier 0 is everything that we would need to release this into the universe with some variation. Our tiers after that kind of our additional content, which might flesh out some of the UGFs or give it a new theme or that kind of thing. So some of the rooms that are in...
Están hablando muy específicamente, ¿no? Están diciendo que nos están mostrando que ya lo tienen bastante avanzado, cómo están haciendo. Y ahí me está diciendo que, mira, en la línea 1 tenemos que hacer esto o es esto. Después en la línea 2, esto. Que le está ayudando a los developers, desarrolladores, en hacerlo más fácil. Huevadas.
Sí, es un Trello como de etiquetas de objetivos, digamos.
Claro.
Que van marcando.
In production at the moment, let's just skip over to them. So this looks like one whole thing. It's actually two things. So it's the surface structure, which is this guy in the middle, and this kind of surrounding hangar.
Ven, está mostrando la estructura por afuera cómo va a ser. Va a tener 2 hangares. Ve la Starfarer ahí. Tengo unas ganas de usar la Starfarer. ¿Vos la tenés, Peluca, todavía?
Sí, todavía está.
How do you actually get there? We've also got our physical elevator spaces. So if we go from the top, this is where you trundle down into the UGF on a lovely diagonal elevator. You've got the elevator shaft components themselves, so you might have really long elevator rides, you might have really short ones. And then where you end up at the bottom of the elevator ride, this room is currently in progress as well.
Ahí nos está mostrando los elevadores que va a haber adentro de esta ground facility, de este búnker gigante. Parece que vamos a... ¿Viste tipo el búnker que tenemos ahora? Que es baja y sube. Bueno, este también baja y sube, pero medio en diagonal así. Mira, nos está mostrando cómo lo están haciendo ahí.
This is a more refined plan to begin with, but we still need to get into the actual numbers of how much time this will actually take to make. So then we come to our trusty Microsoft Excel. And in here, this is just putting estimates on how long we think things will take. So for us, that's in this next phase, which is white boxing, we want to block the rooms out, we want to add content, we want to get the gameplay in there, we want to split things into overlays, test it with our ProcGen tool, and get all that done. So we estimate this like this, and we put in all of those rooms that we called out before. We've got all the room types it can be and how big or small the thing is. So using this kind of grid, we can call out
tamaños de búnkeres.
Sí.
XS, S, M, L, XL.
Ahí le metieron todo en el Excel ahí. Sí, no creo que haya... No sé si va a ser así. Supuestamente iba a ser uno grande y uno mediano. Eso de los rooms, creo que es las habitaciones adentro o los lugares adentro del búnker, creo. Creo.
Room that's got a retheme. There's 2 rooms which are medium or large that need to be done.
Viste, rooms,
And
habitaciones.
this calculates how much time is required. So you can look at it from room type. You can do the time that way, or you can look at how many medium rooms it will take. We can do it that way as well. This calculates it all, puts into a lovely little table, and then we can also call out how many artists there are, how many designers, how many days per...
¿Ves? Ahí está mostrando cuántos artistas están trabajando, diseñadores, líderes, artistas por día.
artist, how many total days for a sprint, blah blah blah, get all of that done.
Sí,
And
mucho bla bla bla.
that gives us our kind of ballpark figure to go with, to begin with. I think I might have to retake this.
No. You're doing good.
At
what point do we ignore all this?
Okay, so it's all great having all of this, and it gives us a really good plan to begin with going forwards. But as you probably know, game development isn't really a concrete process. You can have all the numbers in the world, but you'll still have things that kind of crop up out of nowhere. That is what game development really is. So from this point now, we can get back into the editor, we can start fleshing out these rooms, we can start doing these overlays, we can start finding variety and really bringing these new underground facilities to life.
The new underground facilities, first seen at this year's CitizenCon showcase, have already moved into production, with designers and artists alike building out the currently spec'd out 93 different rooms and 196 overlay variations necessary to
93 habitaciones va a tener el búnker ese.
place them throughout the existing Stanton and upcoming Pyro star system. But while that's still many months away yet, let's go ahead and turn our attention to something coming in this December's Alpha 3.18.
Ojo.
The imminent arrival of the next exciting parts of our new Gen 12 renderer. Now, bringing with it our collective hopes for improved performance, let's go now to Sylvan in our Frankfurt studio, who's got an update for us on the current progress.
¿Qué es el de Next Generation? El Gender, algo así estaba hablando.
El generación 12, el nuevo sistema renderizado.
Supuestamente va a estar más optimizado el juego, ¿no?
Sí. En realidad, ahora lo que es interior de búnkeres, ya es todo Gen 12 eso adentro.
Claro.
Pero afuera no. Y eso es lo que va a optimizar el juego. Esa es la tan esperada optimización.
Claro, bueno, esto se viene ahora en la 3.18, en diciembre. A ver.
Hey everyone, I'm Sylvan. I'm engine programmer here at CRG, working on Gen 12 for the past years, and I'm incredibly excited to share with all of you the latest progress we've made on Gen 12. But first, let's get everyone on the same page real quick and explain what Gen 12 is, what it's not, and what it's trying to solve.
Ahí nos van a explicar.
This will just scratch the surface though. For deeper look, I highly recommend watching our last year's CitizenCon progress update on Gen 12 and Vulkan. So, Gen 12 in a nutshell is
Vulkan
our new renderer.
El Gen 12.
Vulkan, sí. Vulkan, sí.
And we came up with this name as a natural step forward from DirectX 11, which Star Citizen right now pretty much all of you are using when playing the game. DirectX 11 is a graphics API which our engine interacts to make use of the GPU and renders all of Star Citizen's beauty. How fast a game engine can feed the graphics API or the GPU with rendering commands is dependent on two factors. First, the CPU performance, and second, the implementation of the rendering engine. And the latter is what Gen 12 is all about. It is from the ground up a complete redesign of our old rendering architecture, which decreases CPU submission time massively. The end goal of Gen 12, however, is to make use of a new graphics API called Vulkan, which will boost performance even more and also allows us to add new cool features like AI scaling, ray tracing, efficient multi-view rendering for VR, and Linux support.
¿Está hablando de el Vulkan que no va a consumir tanto CPU entonces, por lo que está diciendo? El Vulkan no consume.
El tema es el Gen 12.
Yo no sé de computadora, chicos, perdón. Ajá.
Que va a optimizar el uso de varios núcleos de la CPU. Ese es el objetivo en realidad de todo juego, es el objetivo ese, porque es muy difícil hacer el uso de varios núcleos en los juegos.
Claro.
Porque el hilo de procesamiento es uno y el renderizado es otro y usas 3 núcleos como mucho. Y lo que quieren ellos es
usarlo todos,
dividir lo máximo posible, usar todos los núcleos para optimizar el rendimiento. En realidad es el objetivo de todo juego ese, que es muy difícil. Pero ojalá lo logren.
Ojalá.
Support and more. This meant, however, we had to rewrite every single graphics feature and ensure that it's running smoothly and as expected on this new architecture. A daunting task, which takes years in a game like Star Citizen with its hundreds of different shaders, thousands of materials, and dozens of features actively used in production.
Qué lindo que te anda así.
You've seen our first milestone mid last year, 2021, with patch 3.14, when we had a few post-processing effects running on Gen 12 by default. This proved that our new rendering architecture was working as intended, and we could start heavily focusing on the scene object rendering, which is the biggest and the most time-consuming task for Gen 12. Almost a year later, with 3.17, we hit our next big milestone and could turn on Gen 12 for all our static geometry, including all scattered terrain objects. That was also the time when a lot of people saw an actual meaningful performance improvement in Star Citizen. Although, to be fair, that patch, Gen 12, was just one.
Ahí está hablando que creció muchísimo en la 3.17 cuando salió. Que anduvo mucho mejor. Yo se lo resentí. Se crasheaba todo el tiempo, pero andaba mucho más fluido. Ahora en la 3.17.
Sí, es que ya por eso hubo implementaciones parciales de Gen 12.
Sí.
Hubo el tema del interior de los búnkers, de todo, ya fueron parcialmente pasando a Gen 12.
Sí, se sintió. Yo lo sentí. Andaba muy bien. Me anda muy bien ahora.
The thing is, since then, the engine is running in a sort of mixed mode, which means most of the code is running through legacy and just calls into Gen 12, which is ported and works at the moment. This actually adds an additional overhead and is the reason why I didn't expect anything of a big performance improvement the last patch, and we didn't show anything or didn't announce anything. But I'm happy to announce, and very proud, that we're nearly done with porting absolutely everything to Gen 12,
Mira.
And not just the scene object rendering, but also our new path-centric rendering system. As we speak, we're fixing the last few things to get it fully ready for 3.18. This is not a promise, but we're working hard to make it possible.
¿Qué dijo de la promesa?
Ahí está diciendo que la Gen 12, esto, que ahora se ve bien, pero el Gen 12 se va a ver excelente, que ya lo tienen todo listo. Nosotros ya de otro lado, ya pasamos todo lo viejo al Gen 12, ya está todo perfecto. Nos falta afilar un poquito porque hay unos bugs y esas cosas, pero no les quiero prometer, pero hay un 100% que sale en la 3.18. Que lo tienen ya listo, que ya está. Y lo están testeando.
¿Dijo 3.18 posta?
Sí, me dijo.
Lo dijo.
Rendering,
Se esperaba para la 4 eso.
I didn't expect anything of a big performance improvement the last patch, and we didn't show anything or didn't announce anything.
¿Viste?
But
ahí dijo, no anunciamos nada hasta ahora, pero
I'm happy to announce,
estoy feliz de anunciar,
and very proud, that we're nearly done with porting.
Estamos casi cerca, casi a punto de terminar.
Absolutely everything to Gen 12.
Que ya pasamos todo a Gen 12.
And not just the scene object rendering, but also our new path-centric rendering system. As we speak, we're fixing the last few things to
mientras estamos hablando, estamos afilando las últimas cositas
get it fully ready for 3.8.
Para que esté full ready para ahí está, ¿eh?
Just the scene object rendering, but also our new path-centric rendering system. As we speak, we're fixing the last few things to get it fully ready for 3.18. This is not a promise, but we're working hard to make it possible.
Se viene diciembre.
Also keep in mind that
esto está bueno porque hay mucha gente que va a poder jugarlo ahora. Que lo
claro,
mínimo, todo lo mínimo que piden ahora va a pasar un medio capaz y cualquiera va a poder jugar el juego. Vamos a tener 40 FPS fluidos todo el tiempo, aunque sea 50, no sé. Capaz son más. No lo sé.
El tema es el exceso de CPU que el juego está consumiendo actualmente. Eso se va a mejorar muchísimo.
Sí.
Y ahí se va a notar la diferencia.
Exactamente. Así que vamos
Ah,
a vos principalmente, que tenés 100% CPU.
Yo estoy para atrás, boludo. Pero la semana que viene
this first version
si
of Gen 12
tenemos
is just a
componentes.
It Just Works version.
Tengo que
We haven't
comprarlo,
even
boludo.
started optimizing it yet at all. And you can expect huge improvements the following patches up until we can finally start making use of Vulkan.
Ahí está diciendo que van a sentir, pero 20 veces mejor el juego con el Vulkan que se viene en la Gen 2.
Enough talking. Let's hop into the engine and take a look at a couple scenes while I'm explaining a few things to set reasonable expectations.
Mirá, se metió a jugar el peluca allá atrás. Ahí abrió el juego.
Keep in mind that all of these tests are done in debug builds with one set of hardware and can result in a totally different experience on a different machine. Also note that Gen 12 primarily boosts CPU performance, so if you have a weak GPU or playing in very high resolutions, which is really demanding for GPUs, your game is probably GPU bound and you won't see much of a benefit.
Bueno, acá Chiribim está diciendo que el juego, como dijo Mauro recién, sí consume mucho GPU, el procesador. Así que sí.
CPU.
¿CPU? ¿CPU cuál es? ¿El procesador?
Procesador, sí.
Bueno, dijo que el CPU... Él va a sacar el Gen 12, va a salir el Gen 12, va a salir espectacular, pero tenés que tener un buen procesador. Sí o sí. Pues no vas a sentir la diferencia. No puedes tener un i5 o un i... ¿Entendés? Tenés que tener mínimo capaz un i7 para arriba. No sé. Pero dijo que tenés que tener un procesador bueno porque va a consumir. Pero bueno, no sé.
Okay, so let's take a
Y ahora vamos a mostrar un testeos.
look at this scene here in Orson, which is well known to be one of the
Pongan
most
más grande
expensive
los
cities in
números.
game right
Sí.
now.
Está en Horizon ahora.
Before we start, please do me one favor and don't look at the FPS.
Antes de empezar, por favor, no miren los FPS.
Because this is a highly unoptimized build with
15.
highly unoptimized code
15.
and very expensive debug tracking.
man.
So any
14.
discussion about FPS here is completely meaningless. Alright, so on the right side we have this
A la derecha.
P3D API call info window, which tells us precisely how many draw calls and how many API calls we do every frame. This is the work the engine has to do to send commands to the graphics driver, which determines how
Esto es muy técnico, gente. Lo entiendo, pero yo no lo entiendo. Está hablando de API call, no sé qué, los que le manda a la tarjeta de video.
fast
Es mucho.
the CPU can feed the GPU with commands to render our frame. This is pure legacy mode. We have 47,000 API calls, and let's switch
Está
it to
mostrando
Gen
lo que
12.
es ahora el juego.
Claro, eso está mostrando ahora, dijo. Se ve que va a hacer un clic y va a poner el Gen 12. A ver.
So this is Gen 12 mode.
Ahí puso
The
el Gen
API
12.
calls drop to about 33,000, which is quite significant for literally rendering the same scene.
¿Qué es eso del API calls? ¿Vos, Mauro, sabes? ¿O no?
El API es la interfaz de comunicación entre el juego y el controlador del sistema operativo, digamos.
Porque dice que
es
bajó
una
de
interfaz.
45.000 a 30.000. Dice que es un montón. Pero no sé
Y
qué.
subieron los FPS.
Okay,
Y
let's
subieron
take a closer
5
look
FPS.
behind the scenes. Well, let's take a look at this optic capture from that scene
¿Y
in
esto qué?
Orson. Optic is a very helpful
Matrix.
tool for us
La
developers
Matrix,
to
boludo.
get a detailed understanding of what's going on in our engine. This includes what every thread is doing and when it is doing it. So let's take a look at the main and render thread, which are relevant for us in this context. Let's zoom in. And let's take a look at
Gran
one of
puta.
those frames here.
¿Eh? Ahí está como
No,
testeando.
que es un mundo.
Es un mundo esto, ¿no? Qué loco, boludo. Ahí dice, mira, Nvidia 3080. A ver, ¿qué habla?
So at the top, we've got the main thread. The main thread is what you could say the heart of the whole engine. It pretty much orchestrates everything, like when entities get updated, when physics get calculated, when do we render.
Esto seguro nos los muestran para decir, hey, ustedes que hablan al pedo, que dicen que nos estamos atrasando, miren lo que es esto.
Which objects
Miren el quilombo que tenemos.
system and which objects we want to render. This is what the main thread does on top of here.
Bueno, ¿puedo adelantar
Once we
esto?
figure that out,
Pues la
all
verdad
that work
que
is-
es muy técnico.
To summarize, with the current Gen 12 renderer, we saw a tremendous amount of API call reduction than before, and depending on the scene, 50 to 100% faster render thread performance. Let me emphasize again that all these numbers are not final, and we haven't been optimizing Gen 12 at all yet, and you can expect more improvements in the future.
Bueno, dice que estos no son resultados finales, que tienen que optimizar más todavía el Gen 12 y que van a tener mayor optimización que lo que mostró recién ahí.
It also depends highly on the hardware you're running at, so once it hits live and you're using it, let me know how it's working for you. So what's coming next, you may ask? Well, once we're fully done with Gen 12 and we can actually run Vulkan, there's still a lot of optimizations we have to do, like actually completely getting rid of the render thread, employ a fully multi-threading rendering approach, doing async compute, and so much more. The sky's the limit here. And since we're developing Vulkan in parallel at the moment, it is to be expected that once Gen 12 is fully working, it won't take long for you to have it in your hands too. But more about that in the future when it's actually ready. Last but not least, a big shout out to everyone involved in getting Gen 12 ready so far. And yeah, I hope you like this little sneak peek into the future of Star Citizen's rendering engine. And feel free to drop any questions in Spectrum, and I'll gladly do my best to answer them. Thanks.
Bueno, nada, agradeció a todo el mundo y nada, sale Gen 12 en diciembre, gente. Y dice que el cielo es el límite. Que cada vez lo van a ir mejorando, mejorando y mejorando, mejorando el Vulkan.
So what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that resource planning is an essential step to ensuring your artists and designers are working efficiently to deliver locations like the new underground facilities quicker than ever before. That the new underground facilities themselves are already in production, and you can bet we'll be following along with their progress ahead of their scheduled release next year. And that the new Gen 12 renderer looks to relieve much of the current CPU bottleneck in the persistent universe, and that work will still continue after the next major milestone in the upcoming Alpha 3.18. Now don't forget that this year's Day of the Bar Halloween festivities are going on right now. You can check out all the details on the robertspaceindustries.com website.
Resumido lo que vimos hoy.
If you're looking at...
Bueno, nada. Se viene en resumido el insight este, nada, los Underground Facility, que se vienen en Pyro, pero en la 3.18 se viene Gen 12, va a haber un 100% de mejor optimización para que podamos jugar. Así que, espectacular, ¿no? Muy bueno.
Bienvenido sea.
Bienvenido sea. Así que bueno, gente, lo dejo acá en este video. No se olviden de dejarle like, coméntenme qué les pareció. Y no se olviden de suscribir. Y nos vemos en el próximo video. Que seguramente lo voy a subir el lunes. Que va a ser el segundo día de Shoutdown. Cómo nos recibió Shoutdown el segundo día. Nos vemos, gente. Chau, chau.